Hi, just before we start, just a really quick disclaimer. You'll notice that things change halfway through this video, and I just wanted to really quickly explain. The reason for the change is that the first half and the second half are actually filmed a week apart. I got a phone call halfway through filming the first bit, and it was a personal issue, and I just didn't get back to finishing it. I was going to start from scratch. I decided not to. I knew where I was up to, so I'm really sorry, and I hope you still enjoy it. Guys, welcome to the Pmstampin video. Today I'm going to show you how to make the magic card that I put a little preview on of just the other day. Sorry it's taken me a little while to get it done. Real life work has got in the way, boo hiss. So I'm just going to quickly show you what you need to make this card. First we're going to have a base. It's 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and then just fold it in half. We have a piece of Whisper White that is 4 inches by 7 inches and folded in half. I have a piece of Whisper White that's 3.25 by 3.5. A piece of window sheet that is 3.25 by 3.5. I have a piece of scrap. It's not quite level, it doesn't really matter, but as long as it's 4 inches by around about half an inch, that'll be absolutely fine. I will also be using my Tombow glue, I'll be using my snail adhesive, and I will need a framelit die for the big shot. Now in the other card I also put a piece of DSP on here, but I'm going to try something a little bit different this time and hope that it works. For this project I'm going to be using the Stays On Jet Black ink, especially on the window sheet. You could probably get away with the archival on the Whisper White, although once you colour in you don't want it to smudge. Which is exactly what the Stays On will ensure for me. But definitely for the window sheet you'll need Stays On black ink. And I'm going to be using my little chick from my celebration item that I got completely free when I spent £50 with Stampin' Up. I've named him Henry, and we're going to use Henry because I love him. The first job is just to stamp Henry on the Whisper White. Nicely inked up. Straight down, bit of pressure. Straight up, and there he is. I'm now going to go ahead and colour Henry in. Now I have to admit, I think if you were using Stampin' Up markers it would be a lot more vibrant and colourful, but I don't have any, I just have the black one at the moment. So I'm going to be using my blender pens and my inks, and I'm just going to colour him in. They still look really, really good, but I think in hindsight the markers probably would have looked better. They're now on my wish list. Okay, so I've finished Henry off. I have just used my mint macaron for his body. I've used real red for his tail and his hair. I was going to put another colour in, but I think he's quite fine as he is. And I've used the hearts from the Sealed with Love just for a background. I think putting backgrounds on these are a really good idea. Now, quick tip again, if you have the Stampin' Majig, I think that would be absolutely fantastic for lining him up now. I don't have one. I'm going to eyeball it a bit and just trim him so that he fits fine. I know that if you had the Stampin' Majig you could get this perfect just straight away. But I don't have it, so I'm just going to eyeball it, which never works out well for me if I'm honest. So I'm just going to take my window sheet and put it over the top. I'm going to get it so I can get him. We're just going to get my little stamp again, and I'm going to try and get him in as near as, damn it, the same place. Now this is where I don't like wooden stamps. I would prefer to use a faux polymer if I'm honest. But you know what? I can always just trim around it slightly and get him right. Now, a couple of things. Just be aware that once you stamp onto the window sheet, it can get very slippy and slidey. Try really hard not to move him. So that's what he looks like when he's stamped. And it will stay wet a little bit longer than it would on paper, so be very, very careful you don't smudge him. And then it's just a case of lining him up, which looks something very similar to, oh, his feet aren't quite right, are they? Oh, there you go, got him. Once it's in place really well. Hopefully you can see that. I am slightly out, so I am going to trim him. But to keep him in place for now, I'm going to bring in my snail. Again, try really hard not to touch your black for now. It does take that little bit longer. Going to lift the top up, just a tiny piece of snail at the top. Make sure you're happy with where he's at and just squidge it down. And there you go. So I'm going to leave him to dry for a minute. Whilst I do that, I'm going to cut a hole in the centre of the card. Again, if you had a Stampin' jig, you'd be able to line it up perfectly. But I don't, I'm just going to eyeball it. And I'm just going to run this through my big shop. Then you end up with something that looks like this. Nice big hole in the middle. And that's good to go. While they're all drying and being finished, we're just going to make a bit of a hole in the middle of here. Now, in a video that I saw, somebody used a label punch and it worked perfect. I don't have such a thing. So as always, I'm going to eyeball it slightly. I know that this little guy has to fit in. So on the creased edge, I just make a slight mark on both sides of him, like so. Two very small slits up the side. And then cut them along. Nobody gets to see this bit, it's the mechanism in the middle of the card. But I can understand why you'd want it still to be neat and tidy. So the overall thing looks like this, has a big hole in the middle. And so you take your little guy, and you take the white piece that's all coloured in, and you slot him into the middle, and the window sheet goes on the outside. So this is where you get to see the magic happen, you see. So he's all black and white and boring, and you'd pull him out and he's all colourful and happy and jolly. Just like that. We'll add 2 pieces of glue just down the sides. Oh, try not to get your window sheet in it like so. And now you just need to line the little chicky jig up with like the centre of your little hole. I'm going to go just slightly to one side, just because I didn't get him on completely straight. And you just stick him on like so. Okay, so at this point I have a confession to make to you guys. So I've slotted in my little guy, you can see him, he does the magic, he goes up and down. But when I do pull him out backwards, you will see that I made a boo-boo on this side. I was kind of hoping I'd get away with it, but then I realised I had to show you this bit. So this is the front bit, and this is where all the magic happens. And here's him on the back that I made a boo-boo on. Nobody gets to see this, so it's fine. I would never normally just carry on with it. I would have restarted, but it was for a video, so really sorry guys. We're going to take a strip, a very thin strip, around about 1/2 inch or thereabouts. If it's an inch, if it's thinner, it really doesn't matter. It needs to be 4 inches wide, so it just needs to go to here. This is just a piece of scrap. I have loads of these floating around. I don't tend to cut this with my trimmer. I don't really see the need. I just eyeball it slightly, like so. As long as it is wider than the hole that we've made, this will do what it needs to do. I'm going to glue the very bottom. So if you see the very bottom of the white strip, not on the background card, just on the strip. And then we stick the piece on. You could use any kind of glue for this. It doesn't need to be technical or measured too precisely. The purpose of this strip here is so that when we do pull him up, it stops. It's not going to go any further because it acts as a buffer. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. So as you pull him up, it gets there and it won't go any further. You can't pull it right out and it just stops it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is take my 1 inch circle punch. I'm going to punch, I hope you can see this, about 1/2 moon-ish out of the middle-ish. It's not very technical in any way, shape or form. Oh, but a little half, like so. Oh, I haven't quite got it in the middle. I'm not going to cry about it too much. Once I've done that side, I'm going to do the same on the other. You can do them together. Pull him up ever so slightly, and I've pre-cut a 1 inch circle with my punch. I'm going to use red. Gotta fold it in half, nothing too technical. I'm going to run a bit of my snail over it, all over. You can use Tombow, but because it is going to stick to the window sheet, I think the snail works just that little bit better. In line of where you've made your little finger hole, just stick that in. Now it will drop in slightly, it will fall under, it just gives them a bit of an idea of where they need to yank. Like so, okay? So it just makes it, I just feel it makes it a little bit more, so they can see that's where they need to pull. Now you can add a little hole punch in there and a piece of ribbon. I think that works really, really well also. But I quite like this just as it is. So the last job is just to glue it all together. Grab your snail. So we're just going to put snail down both sides here, like so. So it's just the two base cards that are being glued together. You don't want to stick any of the mechanisms together, that wouldn't be so good. Okay. Get him into position and he's all good to go. So you pull him out, he's all colourful, you push him back in. And he is, sorry, he has got a bit skew if he's been in the bottom of my handbag. If you listen to the start of my video, I've had some personal things going. I really should have started to scratch, but I was nearly there and all the things are in place. I should have been a bit more careful about where I've just put my hole. My card, my window sheet hasn't been trimmed perfectly straight. There's a few things that definitely could have been improved on this card. On the original one that I showed you, I just put DSP. That's from the Send in Love, I think it is. And just cut the hole out as normal. I did plan on, for this card, just using my Versamark watermark ink pad and the heart stamp, and using a white embossing powder and just putting those around. In my absolute manic week, I have actually lost my my white powder. So I think I will, to finish this off, just go ahead and do a sheet of DSP for it. But this got you the basics. I hope at the very least you now know how to make the magic card. Hopefully a little bit better than mine. But they are absolutely fantastic. I love them. They are actually really quick and easy. You can do so much with them. I've seen cards where they've actually decorated the backgrounds so that when you do lift it up, it's not all just plain. I've seen cards where, with some of the characters that you can get, they've changed their facial expressions as they come out. Anything that's big and blocky, he's maybe a little bit too like intricate and detailed, but big and blocky, like of colours, when they come out, they just make such a wow. And then it's just about decorating the outside. I'm not going to do it this time around. I wanted to get this video out there so that you could see it. I realised I put the little sneaky peek on and life has got in the way and it's taken me forever to get here and do this. I am so sorry. I might do another one anyway because I do love these cards. I've made about 5 or 6 of them now actually, and I just love them. Little Henry here, it features in them, so I might try it with something a bit different. We'll maybe go with something a bit more floral, but maybe even the bigger chicken, the hay chick. I'll have a look. I'm definitely gonna do it, and I'll make sure I get it all the way through. I do hope you've enjoyed this. I am really sorry it's been a bit flustered. If you want any more information, just let me know. I will pop my email on here and my website. If you want to know anything about Stampin' Up or have any general questions, please just let me know. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.